protecting the legal rights of our citizens by proving their guilt or their innocence. You may want to be one of those business leaders who are climbing the ladder of success with Fortune 500 companies and busting open those glass doors. You may want to be a captain of a police department who are enforcing the law and protecting the citizens. You want to meet maybe some of the better hairstylists who are beauticians and not magicians. You may be some of those politicians who are really trying to provide health care for our children. That's really important. And you may be a founder of a women's network who makes all of our dreams come true. But who are we really? Who are we really? We're the franchise owners at such companies as the Voices of Nation, Starbucks, Subway, Burger King, because women of today, we are having it our way. We're like Folgers Coffee because we are good to last drop. We're like Nike because we just do it. And we are also like McDonald's because I'm loving it. It's time for us to move from hope to making what we hope for and dreamed about become very real. It's time for your prophecy to be fulfilled. I love this quote from the late, great Nelson Mandela. I stand here before you, not as a prophet, but as a humble servant for you. My daughter Amber stated to me one time, she worked as an ambassador for some of the children's networks in Somalia. And it was important to her because she said one night she was sleeping in the middle of the night and she woke up and she said, Mama, I don't understand. Why is it that a lot of us people in North America forget what it's like to be kids in Somalia? She said, we were just fortunate enough to literally be born where we are. But what happens when you're born in certain circumstances, some people have no control of what happens. You can't control the government. You can't control the weather, but what you can control is what's in here. And I think if you don't take anything away from here right now, I think it's important that we all recognize and realize we all come from a different set of circumstances. Regardless of who you are, who you think you are, if you have something internally that you know that can make a difference, you make that difference. It may be like a drop into an ocean because it spreads through everything else, but I think what's really important is the fact that we really maintain our integrity and our dignity. And the Queen was talking about how they raise their daughters in Ghana. Guess what? We all need to raise our daughters like they in Ghana. We all need to have that strength as we walk through here and say who we are. That's who we are. And I can appreciate what you said because you're talking about ethics. Regardless of the country, this is who we are throughout the world. If we took that piece of advice, because guess what, y'all? We all from Africa. All of us are from the motherland, whether we want to believe it or not. That's where we came from. So with that said, I think it's just important that we really recognize and we focus on what's real, important to us, and it's important to be true to yourself, because when I wrote the book for Corporate Coffee, that book is about all of us. That book can relate to any and everybody in this room. Because we all have so many commonalities. And I think we'll be shocked when it's all said and done. My daughter also told me, she said, Mama, we don't realize how precious a moment is until it becomes a memory. And I want to thank you for giving me this wonderful memory. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. She says it as it is. The author of Corporate Coffee. I think we're going to be having a cup of coffee after this. Corporate coffee. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you are joining us, we'll be listening to Stephanie. She's the author of Corporate Coffee. She'll be talking about self-motivation and empowerment.
That's great.
And we'll be taking some questions from you, the audience, to Stephanie. Stephanie, please, do you want to join me? The floor is open. If anybody has a question to ask, Stephanie is here to answer to 1, 2, 3 questions maximum, because we're breaking for lunch.
I'll start.
Okay. One there.
My question is, I'm a single mother, and I've worked 12 hours, ridiculously, and it's balancing, how do you balance it? Because there's times when I feel guilty, and because I feel guilty that I haven't spent time with him, then I'll spend the whole day with him and then think, oh my God, I've got deadlines, so how do you kind of balance it without, being a mom, a working mom, and, being productive?
Well, first of all, you're going to keep feeling guilty because that's just how it is. Yeah. I'm just telling you. People always say, from a corporate standpoint, I was with Volvo for 15 years, and prior to Volvo, I worked in other Fortune 500 companies. And from an oxymoron standpoint, I think somebody had talked about this before. If a male would actually be slow on doing the job, he's being thorough, but a woman's being slow. So anytime we do anything, we're always going to be looked at whether we like to or not. You're going to feel guilty. When I left Volvo, it's because I was never at home. And I don't care what anybody tells you, there's never a balance, because balance is relative. Where some people may think you're doing a great job with your son, just you yourself, because we're our worst critics. You're going to think you're not spending enough time. And unfortunately, kids can make you feel guilty. Kids can make you feel very guilty, and they don't understand because when it comes to us and women, we multitask. Yeah. And like I heard Dr. Sylvia last night on the phone with her kids, and I feel so sorry for her because she was really trying to focus on this, but she had to tell them to stop crying. So, that's the kind of stuff that we go through. And I think it's important that you realize it's not the quantity of time, it's that quality of time. Because I'm going to talk about this in my transition workshop, because you got to make those special moments with your children become special. Now see, it's always easy for them to say, well, you know what? You didn't do this and you didn't do that. Because one time, Justin, I was so happy that I was finally home one day and I could take some cookies to school. Y'all, I could cook. And I had to take some cookies to school, so I was really happy about that. So finally, I went to the school with this big tray of cookies. And I said, Justin, Mama's here. Because he looked down and he seen me, he goes, Mommy's here, Mommy's here. Then he goes, yeah, but you normally never hear everybody else's mother's here, but you're not. And this one lady told me, oh, Stephanie, don't worry about it. I got your son. I said, you ain't got my son. I said, that's my child. So, but those special moments, and Justin did remember because I did take cookies for him that day. So my advice to you would be literally, you need to really take those special moments. And I think as parents, to make us feel a lot better, I know we try to give our children everything. We can't give them everything. But one thing we can give them is our love and our honesty, because don't tell your child you're going to do something for them and don't do it. They're going to remember that more than anything. Yeah. So make sure whatever you do is follow through what you say. And I tell everybody, I don't have the richest in the world and I don't have all these assets, but my biggest asset is my word. Yeah. And if I lose my word, I have nothing. So I hope I answered your question.
We've got another hand here. You can take a picture.
Nice shoes. My question is to do with the corporate world. You live in the UK. There are certain things, from personal experience, there are things I was not aware of until I moved to live in the UK. And I wasn't aware that I was a black woman until I came to the UK. I wasn't aware that I was a woman, if you know what I mean, until I came to the UK and started working. Now, because of those two minorities, being a woman and then being a black woman, you are made constantly aware of that's sort of how you are identified. I'm in another life in the corporate world, and I want to work hard. I want to go as high as it's possible to get. There is something now called positive discrimination. And at work, when I work hard and get promoted or get certain privileges, I have my colleagues say, you've only got that because you're black. You've only got that because you're a woman. And they seem to forget how hard I've worked. So I am inspired that you got to where you got to as a black woman in a male world and possibly in a non-black world, if that makes sense. How did you cope? And I don't know if you ever had that people say to you, well, you know, you've only got that if you were not black or if you were not a woman.
If they said it was behind my back. One thing I want to say to you, and again, I appreciate that my Nigerian sister, I told them I actually have an honorary doctorate from the Igbo tribe of Nigeria. So I can appreciate where you're coming from. The first thing is, you're too worried about what somebody got to say. That's the first thing, because I think as we as women, especially women of color, that's something you have got, it's a tough thing to do, but you have to erase. You know, recognizing that I primarily worked in the males organization because I did the labor contracts. I had people from Russia standing on top of the table, cussing at me when I was trying to negotiate some labor contracts, and I'm sure it was black in there somewhere. But as they were saying these different things to me, when he sat down, I said, now that you're through, let's go ahead and get this thing done. So get that all out of your system. Because what we're here now is about business. And I think because we are who we have some self-esteem issues because the world in general says one thing, but our ancestors tell us something else. Yes. And I think literally we have to go deep inside this core of who we really are. Because I really don't give a crap what nobody got to say about me. It is what it is. Because I know the struggle that I took, and I know the sacrifices I made, and I know the dignity and integrity that I have that's going to outrank anybody else. And also, you have to understand, you never let, you know, there's a saying that you never show cracks in your armor. Because if you show a crack in your armor, somebody's going to dig into that crack, and they're going to open that crack open. So basically, somebody got to say something about you, it's the saying, you kill my cat, I kill your dog. So, you know, he or she may have something to say. You know what? Just let that stuff go bye-bye. Yeah. I've traveled to Africa several times. I've been in Africa and all over the world. And when I walk in, just like the Queen was saying, honey, I walk in with that self-confidence, and people see what's on you. And if they see, because of the body language, and if they see you shrivel up like this, oh God, here they come again. You know what? They're going to keep on coming because it's so easy for somebody to put you down because it makes them feel that much better.
Yeah, you're almost apologetic for doing well, for excelling at work and, you know, sort of climbing up the ladder. I find myself getting a bit apologetic about it and almost saying, it's not just because I'm black, it's not just because I'm a woman, or, last night I didn't go to sleep because I was writing this essay or I was doing this report. But people forget that. All they see is, well, this is positive discrimination.
Well, you don't owe them an explanation.
Political correctness.
You do not owe them an explanation. I mean, at all. Because they're going to keep coming at you because they know they can. And I think the best thing, next time somebody come at you and say, you know what, the reason you got this because you being black, say, thank you so much because I got it.
Yeah.
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 Okay, we have one last question from the Queen.
Hello. Stephanie, it's not so much a question as a statement. First of all, I want to say thank you. Someone talked about gratitude earlier. Thank you. Because there are 3 people who can floor me. I'm a pretty strong woman. One of them is my mother. She can go from in 1 second to turning me into a 5-year-old. But she's my mother. And then these 2. So the 2 people who can floor me are these, and if you talk about guilt and etc., yes, they're very good at it. So I'm glad you said what you said, and I'm glad also that they're here to listen. And he was laughing, and she was laughing, so I know they've got the message. Thank you so much. I wanted to say also that I think you touched on a very important point, which is behind what everyone sees as a story. And the journeys that we all have to go through. I mean, there's human beings behind everyone, and the journeys we have to go through to arrive at where we are, and the journey we still have to go through to go to where we're going, are sometimes the stories that people don't realize and they don't know. And so I'm thankful that I'm here today to listen to some very powerful speakers, but more importantly that you touched on the mother element. And the lady said that she was a single parent, so am I. I make no apologies for it. And I like the fact that you said that's why he's my ex-husband. That's why he's my ex-husband. But By the way, in my culture, a queen is not supposed to be unmarried.
Exactly.
And that should tell you a lot about me. And so, and I make no apologies for that either, because I'd rather be an effective queen than a queen who's cowering in some corner in fear of a man and coming out and having to perform my duties. So thank you for touching on those human principles that we as women have to handle and deal with every day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. The husband here, he's my husband. It's my first fool. I mean, my first, the first man I was married to is my ex-husband. He was, he's in Kansas, but this is, Keith, he's my rock, because he's always stood behind me and everything, but that's a solid foundation. But thank you so much. And again, offside, we really need to talk, because I have resources that can help do some of the things that you want to do. And y'all, if you don't remember nothing else, you know what I want to tell y'all? You got a network right now. And what's going on right now is history in the making. The key to everything is follow through. You see these mentors and people you want to talk to, don't let this go by the wayside. It's your responsibility to take control of your own life. So you need to pull on me, or